Hi there. How's everything going with all of you? Are you enjoying the weather? For those of you with children at home, are you ready for summer to be over, or do you have them all outside doing other activities? Are they stuck inside the house doing their video games or whatever? Whatever it is, I hope it's going well for you. What I want to talk about today is something that I started to say I read a book recently. Actually, I heard it on a podcast or an audiobook, but it was a phrase called $1 million habits. And there was one habit that popped out that really stuck to me that basically was something about how the environment impacts our thinking process. Now, before you jump to the conclusions, I'm not saying you have to go out and sort of spend money and renovate the whole entire house. I'm not talking about that from that standpoint. I'm talking about from the standpoint of just your immediate environment where you're trying to do, say, you're studying or your most of your work. The idea is somewhat similar to the concept of some of you may have heard that if you want to be a CEO, you have to think like a CEO. On the same level, I can say if you want to be an employee, you think like an employee. The way employees think is not the way a CEO thinks. CEOs are making decisions and thinking about the entire company. Employees are basically figuring out how they're going to get through the day and get to the end of the week so they can get out and get a paycheck. The thought process is very different. So from that standpoint, I'm looking at the idea of the environment and where are we? So let's say you're studying. If you're studying, what's your study area look like? Now, again, I don't mean that you need to go out and renovate everything, but it's somewhat think in terms that you might be in, let's just say you're in a high rise in New York City and you're looking out a window and what you see is a brick building and, other high rise windows right across from you. This is not exactly what I would refer to as the most conducive area or view for studying. So you might want to set up something that's maybe a picture of a nice pastoral scene or some flowers or some such thing like that that makes you feel like you're in a better environment so that you can take a look at those flowers or the scene or the picture or whatever you have and relax and think of better times so that if you're studying and you can look at maybe you've got a picture of somebody in a cap and gown, for example, so you can be looking at that cap and that person in the cap and gown instead of the brick building outside the window and remind yourself that what you're doing is you're studying to graduate so you have something better than that brick wall that you're looking outside the window. Um, the brain is set up for things like that. If you think about it, given everything equally, if you have a place to sit down or study or work or think about something, you'd rather do it in a place that makes you feel comfortable and makes you feel like it's in some degree of, I don't want to say royalty, but quote, rich, if you will. I mean, would you decide that you want to sit there and think about something that you've got a decision to make? Are you going to go for some place that's a dump? Or are you going to look for some place that's kind of comfortable and you feel safe and secure? Most likely you'll feel something safe and secure. Now, if the safe and secure happens to be like 5 feet from a tiger cage or something, okay, maybe not. Granted, that's an extreme, but I'm using that as a point here to make the idea that if everything else is equal, humans tend to go to something that's much more comfortable, more attractive. And that's sort of, I put into quotes because what's attractive for one person is not necessarily going to be attractive for somebody else, but it makes you feel better. You're in a better environment, even if all you've got is a couple of flowers. Maybe they're plastic, but if they've got a couple of flowers and it makes you feel better because you're in a better environment, you're more likely to be more productive in that particular area than if you're looking at trash. I mean, think about it. If you're going to be studying or if you're going to have a decision to make or something like that, would you rather be staring at the trash can or would you rather be staring at a picture of some flowers? Most likely you're going to pick flowers. So when I'm saying and upgrade your environment or improve your environment, this is kind of what I'm thinking about. This is also where a lot of people come from with the idea of eliminate the clutter around your work area because it produces, well, a cleaner area rather produces more, for most people anyway, productive thoughts than one that's messy. Because it's sort of the idea being that a clean thought, in a sense, I don't want to say clean mind necessarily, but the idea that if things are in some degree of progression or you know where things are and you can see where they belong, your mind is going to think better that way. Now, granted, there might be some people that will tend to think that they can think better in clutter. Maybe, maybe not. A lot depends on what they're looking at and how their thought process is going. But generally speaking, what I'd like to do today is to just challenge you to think in terms of if you want to rest, If you're trying to write something, you maybe have a paper to write of some sort, something at work, something for school, whatever that may be. If you've got a decision that you need to make, are you making it in an environment that's conducive to good thoughts? Or are you sitting there in a place that's looking, messy? It doesn't help. I realize that this is not it's not necessarily let's start that one all over again. I realize that we don't all have the chance to change the environment, but I'm saying that maybe if you could just do something in a relatively small area to clean it up or neaten it or something, maybe just get a nice pillow that's comfortable, or even just a picture. Find a picture in a magazine or something like that, or from the web, put it on the computer so that you could see it as your backdrop for your computer. Something that's going to be beautiful in a sense, I guess. I'm sure that there's a better word, but it's something that's going to make you feel comfortable and productive. Now, granted, I've probably messed this up and I haven't really said this as well as I could have, I guess, but I hope that makes sense, so that you're thinking in terms of, as you look around your environment, is there something in that environment that's going to give you better thoughts? Because your brain does work with better thoughts. I mean, think about it. Again, going back to the comment about if you want to be a CEO, think like a CEO. If you need to be a mom, you need to be in a sense, a mom environment. Now, granted, you're going to be always a mom, but the quality of your thoughts are going to change depending on the circumstances you're in. And so if you can improve your environment, it sort of stands to reason that your thoughts are going to be a little easier, and you're going to be able to think much more clearly and much more critically and come up with a better choice than if you are when you're in messy, because then your mind is going to start getting messy, if that makes sense. I hope so. If not, and if you want to disagree with me, do make a comment and send it back to me. If you know somebody that maybe is really messy and really you should hear this and you agree with me, and you don't want to be the one who nags, you can share it with them. They probably won't listen to me, but you can try it anyway. But do let me know what you think and what your reaction to this is, and just say hi and tell me what you're going, or if there's something else you would rather I would talk about. And I have no idea why I can't talk today, but oh well, hopefully I'll do better next time. You guys have a good week, and we'll chat with you later.